There's a fine line between being someone's safe place and becoming the reason they feel trapped. In my practice, I hear patients, particularly women, say things like, he was just caring. It felt cute at first, or it made me feel protected. But over time, that care turned into control. That protection became possession. And what once felt like love starts to feel like guilt. Because when love runs deep, so does the fear of losing it. And that fear, it often disguises itself as devotion. I'm Jourdan Travers, a licensed clinical psychotherapist, and today we're diving into the psychology of possessiveness and what I call the Possessive Partner Paradox. Because here's a simple truth. Every time you show up for your partner, every time you reply fast, plan a date, or brag about them to your friends, you're doing what psychologists call mate retention. Now, don't let the clinical term scare you off. You do it because you care. The question is how you do it, because there are two ways. The first is the path of offering. You give love, you give gifts, your time, intimacy. You make them feel like they'd be lucky to have someone like you. This is called benefit-inducing behavior. But then there's the second path, the one you don't always realize you've taken. You start to make them feel like leaving you would cost them. You guilt them for being late. You snap when they talk to someone you're uncomfortable with. Or you make jokes, sometimes in front of others, about how no one else could handle them. That's called cost-inflicting behavior. And while the first makes love feel generous, the second makes love feel like a trap. And the effects are real. A large-scale study of 178 couples found that people who relied more on these kinds of controlling or guilt-driven behaviors experienced significantly lower relationship satisfaction. The more one partner felt the need to control, the more the other felt disconnected, unseen, and emotionally distant. And this is where the paradox comes in. You probably don't think of yourself as possessive. You might think you're just being protective, caring, or loving hard. But the truth is that even care can cross the line when it's rooted in fear, and the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And that fear often comes from how you see yourself in the relationship. There's a psychological idea called mate value. It's about how desirable someone is as a partner based on their personality, kindness, intelligence, looks. You get the idea. Here's the twist. If you see your partner as being out of your league, you may start to panic. Not openly, but silently on the inside. And when you panic, you don't love harder, you hold tighter. You check who liked their post. You start resenting how independent they are. You question why they don't need you as much as you need them. And it feels justified because fear always feels justified. But fear-driven love doesn't bring you closer. It builds walls, and slowly enough, it turns connection into control. In fact, a 2022 study found that these cost-inflicting behaviors, like guilt tripping, control, or surveillance, are directly tied to lower relationship satisfaction. It's when you ask your partner not to talk to someone just because that person makes you uncomfortable. It's feeling angry that they went out without telling you. And instead of talking with them about it and telling them how you feel, you punish them with silence. It's asking them to unfollow a friend because you can't stop obsessing over what they might be talking about. And here's what a patient of mine once said that really stuck with me. He didn't yell, he didn't hit me, but he made me feel like I was doing something wrong just by existing outside of him. And maybe if you're honest with yourself, you might have done that too. Not out of malice, but out of fear, out of a need to feel close, even if it meant shrinking your partner's world to feel safer in yours. But the truth is, fear that masks itself as love always ends up feeling like control. Even worse, it backfires. The more you try to control, the more they pull away. But not all possessiveness is toxic. There's something called subtle possessiveness, and it's not about control. It's rooted in care. It's wanting to be the first person they call when something goes wrong. It's setting their photo as your lock screen, not to show them off, but to remind yourself of what matters. It's reaching out first, not out of insecurity, but out of love and curiosity. These little actions say, I choose you and I hope that you choose me back. And when the feeling is mutual, when both of you see each other as equally valuable, that kind of soft possessiveness can actually strengthen your bond. But the key word is mutual. If you're holding on tightly and they're just trying to breathe, that's not love anymore. That's fear pretending to be love. So, how do you know what kind of love you're giving? Try this. Before you act out of concern, ask yourself, am I doing this because I'm worried for them or because I'm scared for me? Or does this make my partner feel loved or limited? If parts of this hit close to home and you're ready to talk about it with someone, I'm glad to help. You can book a session with me using the link below. I'm Jourdan Travers. I'm the clinical director of Awake Therapy, and I'll see you next time. Bye.